Hello everyone, it's MrMostDaysOff from the Best Darn Diddly Review Show, here to talk to you about PopThreads.com. PopThreads.com has all of the pop culture t-shirts you're looking for. Movies, TV shows, politics, sports, WWE, and of course, The Simpsons. And right now, you can help out our show and save 15% on your order just by using the discount code Simpsons at checkout. So head over to popthreads.com right now, buy yourself a badass new t-shirt, and help our show out in the process. Thank you so much for listening to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show, and thank you for supporting our sponsor, popthreads.com. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons, or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by two dudes that grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as MrMostDaysOff, and today we continue our journey through 1992, all the way back in Season 4 for Mr. Plow. But of course, I'm not going to do this alone. Let me introduce to you, your co-host with the most, Richie theWizKid. How are you today, Rich?
I'm feeling very tender today, Miles. It's been a long time since I got you to myself on this show, so it's almost back to formula here for us. Not that I don't love all the guests we have. It's just been a while since we've gotten to a few episodes in a row where we just get to be us, and I feel like this is an appropriate episode for that, don't you?
This is a bromantic type of review, I would say. I mean, we're gonna explore our friendship and get into some weird places probably, but you know, we'll get there.
Well, if we're gonna get there, I better throw it back to you. The man, the myth, the Mr. Plow. It is Miles.
That's my name.
What's that name again?
It's Mr. Plow.
No, it's not. It's Plow King.
Wait, you're the heel. We are going to be talking about Mr. Plow today, which debuted on November 19th, 1992. We start off with a chalk gag. A burp is not an answer.
I disagree.
I was about to say, I know at least one of us is going to protest this chalkboard gag.
I was gonna burp, but I figured that's a little non-PC, I guess.
PC? When did the show become PC? And when did a burp become not PC? Good lord, is that over the line now? Can we not burp in America?
I just am not ready to burp, so I was trying to cover my tracks. I might throw a burp or two in through this podcast, just to warn everybody.
Let's not get carried away. The couch gag on this one's actually pretty funny. It's a little tiny chair when they run into the living room. The thing that kind of doesn't make sense, though, is Maggie sits down first, but then I guess through the use of magical ability, she's able to kind of morph through the rest of her family and end up sitting on their laps.
Don't judge her, just accept her.
There's no judgment here. I love magical Maggie.
It's a generalization.
Okay. Well, this episode starts out with a newscast live from Hawaii.
And it's Troy McClure here going, live from Hawaii's beautiful Molokai Island. We're not just for lepers anymore. It's Carnival of the Stars. I'm your host, Troy McClure. You may remember me from such films as The Erotic Adventures of Hercules and Dial M for Murderousness. Tonight, we'll see Angela Lansbury walk on hot coals. Excitement, she wrote.
I actually really love this. Is where we pan out and we see it's Homer watching TV in the bar. It's whatever this little celebrity event is, this variety show. But Homer comments when she's walking across the hot coals, how could anybody do that to their bodies? And then as Moe starts to pull the brine away from the pickles, Homer grabs it and starts drinking it. And just, first of all, gross as fuck. And how awful that must be for you.
Yeah. Plus, you know it's Moe, so that hasn't been changed in years.
Just the bacteria you'll get from the inside of the jar alone is dirty enough, not to mention just its brine. Awful. Troy McClure introduces Krusty the Clown, who is going to be the focus of the new movie of the week, specifically going over his Percocet addiction, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And next they show him actually attempt to tame 3 white tigers, but it does not go well for him at all.
I just like that they announced that the TV movie Krusty's going to be played by Jimmy Smits. Which everyone knows that's the dude from NYPD Blue.
I did not know that, actually. I never watched NYPD Blue.
I didn't either, but I just remember my mom was always in love with him, and I think every woman was back in the day.
Well, let me ask you this. Does he have the range to play the clown?
It's going to be an odd choice, but I definitely want to see how it pans out.
Fair enough.
It's like Doogie Howser playing Little Bart Simpson. I mean, it works in a weird way.
Well, we see that along with Homer watching at the bar, Bart is actually watching the same show at the house, and when the tigers start to maul Krusty, he kind of shrugs and says, well, they're going to be chewing on that face for a while, and he walks away from the TV. That's when we see that it is really snowing outside. Like, it's coming down pretty hard, and Marge actually calls the bar to tell Homer she thinks it'd be a good idea if he came home. But Homer wants to watch just one more segment with Alan Thicke before he calls it a night.
And this is before the day and age of cell phones for all you young listeners out there. So it's really awesome of Marge to be calling the bar, and it's kind of funny that she knows the bar's phone number too at the same time.
I think it's one she might have to call often. Maybe she's just hitting redial, and every time it's from Bart pranking the bar the day before or whatever. Well, Homer finally does decide to drive home, and the snow is bad. He can barely see. In fact, you're kind of seeing flashes as the windshield wipers go by. We get a second where we can see, and then several seconds where we can. And this happens 2 or 3 times before it's, sure enough, crunch right into the back of another car. Homer pops out, and he's just happy that he at least got the other guy as good as he got himself. But then he looks up and realizes he's in his own driveway, and he actually hit his own car.
This could have been a drunken driving incident, which we're going to get into in a second. So that could have also played into why this occurred the way it did. But they do a good job of making it look like it's just because of the snow. Did you notice that when the accident occurred, Homer hit his head on the steering wheel, and the steering wheel got completely dented?
No, I completely missed that.
Yeah, so we're going with the Homer Unbreakable thing. He dented the crap out of that steering wheel.
I'll give you this. Your Unbreakable Homer theory has far more legs than your Beastmaster Bart does, but still doesn't hold a candle to Magical Maggie.
They're all superhuman beings. What can we say?
They're the Incredibles?
No, the Incredibles are the Simpsons, let's be honest.
That's true. Simpsons did it first.
Mm-hmm.
Can't argue with that. I do love, however, the next day, you kind of alluded to it, Homer's filing the report with the insurance, and the insurance claim agent just has one last question. You were coming home from Moe's. Is that some sort of retail establishment? And then you get one of those classic moments where Homer starts debating with his own brain. His brain starts pitching him ideas. He knows he should not say he came from the bar, but what else is open that late, Rich?
It's a pornography store. I was buying pornography.
Then we flash back up to his brain, and one of the greatest lines is, wow, great, I would have never thought of that one. Homer has to hitch a ride to the car lot. When he has a truck stop for him, there's a pig in the passenger seat, and the driver lets him know that he's going to have to hop in the back, because after all, you can't trust a pig with melons, which is what his cargo was. Unfortunately for that farmer, you also can't trust a Homer with melons, because he started eating, I think he ate 6 watermelons. There's several discarded shells, or whatever you call the outside of a watermelon.
Just another metaphor for Homer being an animal.
He is a brilliant beast, after all.
Well, let's chillax on the brilliant part, but yeah.
I was just referencing the call of the Simpsons,
yes,
which actually is also referenced later, but we'll get there. First up, we have a scene at a shitty foreign car lot.
Nice description.
And I have to say, I think both the WizKid and I, unfortunately, have a decent amount of experience with these types of places, because we both had shit credit for quite a while, and I know that I had to at least buy 1, probably 2 cars from a place not too different from this, and unfortunately I didn't get completely hosed with a lemon.
What do you say? Just put it in 5th or whatever you're
put
saying.
Put it in H.
Oh yeah, H, yeah, that's it. I was like, I thought it was some random thing that doesn't exist.
He also was talking about how it gets 40 kilos per gallon of kerosene or something. It was some weird unit of gas or weird fuel for a car. And it was really funny just seeing Homer in the thing because it was so tiny he could barely fit.
It was almost like the 23 shorts about Springfield where Nelson makes fun of the guy in the...
And then he makes him walk down the street with his pants around his ankles.
Hey, look, everybody! It's that kid that laughs at all of us. Let's laugh at him.
I actually really like that episode. I'm excited to get there. That's a ways away though, so it'll take some time.
That's gonna be a lot of notes.
Oh my god,
though.
yeah, our hand. That one might be a 22-parter. That's a bit of a stretch, but probably not too far off. He decides enough is enough at that shitty car lot, so they go to the car show instead. And I love when they walk in, he's really excited because he's like, ooh, free parking validation with new car purchase. And it's just like, wow.
Kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
Just a little. They also have the car giveaway, complete with beautiful woman standing next to it to demonstrate, I guess, the features of the car. And I love that they have Homer ask as he's filling out his entry to win, ooh, do you come with a car? Yeah. And then immediately afterwards, some other scrub comes up and uses the exact same line to the exact same response. Oh, you.
I don't know why I've always remembered that scene for my entire life. I was like, oh, this is a shitty pickup line, but like, it's something that might actually get a response with the right person, even though it doesn't in this.
It's like the type of pickup line you use when you're too many beers in to come up with something original, but not enough beers in to be unable to talk.
No, but you're still enough beers in that you've got the balls to go up and do it.
Right, exactly. Or just the stupidity, because you know that shit's going to be weak. But fun fact about that scene, that is actually the real voice of Nancy Cartwright.
Oh, really?
When she's not trying to be a 10-year-old boy.
It's just weird to think about, isn't it?
It is. It's very strange to think of her not being Bart. But, you know, she's probably got like a life and like family and friends and possibly even hobbies that don't have to do with The Simpsons. Weird world we live in. I know.
I like that Bart got to play around in the Bonnie and Clyde car.
Not only does he get to play around in it, but he finds a little bit of their loot.
Yeah, I know. Like, who thought not to check the glove compartment for 80 years?
Right? Yeah, because he just kind of like hits the dashboard in frustration. It just pops open. Lisa also gets to watch a demonstration in safety, a video with crash test dummies, which were oddly popular when we were kids. There was a time in the 90s where crash test dummies were not only just something they used to test the safety of automobiles, but they became a line of toys. They became a TV show, a cartoon. It was nuts, man. I remember I had a friend who had crash test dummy action figures, and I remember watching the cartoon on Saturday mornings.
I remember the cartoon show. I think I had more than one crash test dummy action figure, and I believe for a time I had a couple of their comic books as well.
I didn't even know they did comic books. That's crazy. How in the hell did that become a thing? I mean, it's a cool idea in all honesty, but
it's not. It's a marketing ploy, I would assume, right? Like, whatever commercial first had crash test dummies, they're like, we can make an extra buck off this. So they turned it into a freaking cartoon show and action figure line.
I mean, I think the concept is sound in the sense that for a Saturday morning cartoon show, you can have a, strong message of safety, but still have your characters get into zany confrontations and, mishaps. But at the same time, you're totally right. I'm sure it was just a marketing company for a car, which already has an excessive marketing department, was like, hey, there's probably a way we can squeeze some more dollars out of this. Regardless, these crash test dummies in this video, Lisa suspects weren't actually dummies when one of the child ones starts crawling away from the wreckage, but just then the guy at the display is like, we're closed, and he shuts down shop.
Turn the key and lock it.
And this is where we get to a very weird part of this episode, only from a timing standpoint. It's actually a great part of the episode.
I didn't think it was weird at all, man. Like,
I thought it was super weird, man. I really did.
Multiple episodes.
No, but that's the weird part. So we get to the part with Adam West at the car show. The part that I think is strange is this is Adam West's first appearance in The Simpsons, and it happened for us, just timing-wise. This is only the second episode since he passed away.
The second episode that we're reviewing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, second episode that we're reviewing since he passed away. I just think it's odd timing is the only reason I think that it was a little bit strange talking about this. It's a very funny scene, and actually probably is my favorite Adam West moment in all of The Simpsons, just because of how much I love that whole Pure West line.
Pure West.
He doesn't need rubber in the bat suit.
He just needs shark repellent.
Bat shark repellent, to be specific.
Remember the Bat-Tusi? Why doesn't Batman dance more, right?
Right? The Bat-Tusi was dope. I do love the interaction, though, when Homer is like, that's Batman, and the kids are like, Dad, that's not Batman. Which reminds me of a little show you might find on YouTube. Shout out to Camp Crystal Crew, a new series of videos you're going to find at the Camp Crystal Crew YouTube page.
That name again?
It's Camp Crystal Crew.
All C's. We're not doing a KKK thing here.
The kids say, though, that that's not actually Batman, and Batman actually is like, yeah, I can prove it. Look, here's a picture of me and Robin. And they're like, who's Robin? So he's like, you're only familiar with the modern Batman, I see.
Which, isn't that weird to hear them say that now, considering we're like 5 Batmans down the road from that?
We're a whole nother Catwoman down the line, because his Catwoman that he uses is Michelle Pfeiffer, which obviously references 1992's Batman Returns, which is a great movie, one of my favorites, and I loved that shit when I was a kid, too. It's I love the Tim Burtoniness of it. But that was 1992. We've had, like, 4 Batman movies since then. 5 Batman movies since then.
Well, and he just references Michelle Pfeiffer. That's not even his Catwoman.
That's true. That's true. He actually references Michelle Pfeiffer, putting it in context of the ones the kids know. But then he actually says that the true Catwomen, or the only real Catwomen, or the best Catwomen, whatever he says, were actually Julie Newmar, Eartha Kitt, and Lee Merriweather. Of course, all 3 of the actresses playing a version of Catwoman on his 1960s Batman show.
Meow.
Dude, I won't lie, accidentally coming across a few of these Catwomen images while I was doing some research for this podcast was not an unwelcome benefit to the research.
Yeah, just watch the old show, or even just the movie. I mean, Catwoman had it going on back in the day.
Well, that's when Homer turns around and his eyes set upon his prize of this episode, a plow truck. While it's fun to fantasize about working for President Bush, the first one, the senior, not George W., while working for H-Dub, he actually fantasizes about being hired by him to clear out protesters at the White House.
So can we say Simpsons did it here? Because he's plowing hippies before Cartman?
That's absolutely correct. Simpsons did this long before South Park did. Mr. President, I'm going to give these young people a taste of reality. And then we see him actually driving through the hordes of hippies.
It reminded me of the hippie episode of South Park that was making fun of like, the movie, The Core and things like that. I just like the signs the protesters were holding in this episode. It was like, forget the Alamo and things like that, which, as a Texan, that hits home, doesn't it?
I actually didn't even catch that sign, but that's hilarious. Forget the Alamo.
There are a lot of them, but that was like the most prominent one I saw.
Very cool.
Which is funny in itself, because, I mean, the quote-unquote Texans stole it from the Mexicans first. So, you know, but we can get into that in another time.
Or we'll forget to.
Yeah, probably that.
I do think it's noteworthy that this is not long. I think it's less than a year out from when H.W. Bush made his famous speech in which he said he wants America to be more like the Waltons and less like the Simpsons. So they've already started locking horns a little bit right here, and I think it's going to be the beginning of a beautiful feud. I very much look forward to the episode where we actually see the Bushes move in next door, or across the street from The Simpsons. I love that one.
Why do you wait until a show's in its 5th season and super popular before you attack it?
That was probably just the popular thing to do as a conservative at the time. There's no bigger target than you could lock onto as the moral depravity of society. So it was, you know.
But it also
dude, it's the same reason we chose The Simpsons for this podcast. It's because it's a great way to connect with a large fan base of people that all love this great show. It's just the opposite of that when you're a Republican.
But it's on Fox, which is a highly conservative network, so why would you attack it? Like,
dude, that relationship is just crazy in general. We've talked a little bit about the negotiations that happened with James L. Brooks and the Fox network that allow them to get away with saying half of the shit that they say and not being allowed to be censored by their own network, which was great thing to get in writing that long ago. Bravo again. But It's made for some of the best jokes, and there's even a great joke coming up in this episode aimed directly at the network.
I'd say aimed indirectly at the network a little bit, but yeah, they sneak it in there blatantly.
Once again, just like in the episode Call of the Simpsons, we see that Homer is an absolute sucker for being pressured by a salesman when it's implied that he's not man enough to make a purchasing decision on his own every time he wants to consult his family. We get the little whoosh, whoosh sounds, and right away Homer caves.
Honestly, though, it's not that bad. I mean, that's a huge plow, and it's only $20,000.
And, I mean, it's not something you pay for. It's something that makes you money, after all, Rich. And Homer does, in fact, buy the plow without Marge's consent, and Marge is a little bit upset about it. Homer actually gets a speech here that's fantastic. You get mad every time I do something stupid. I'm just gonna have to stop doing stupid things altogether. To Marge's wish, like, that would be fine.
Good.
Fine. I'll never do another stupid thing again.
I'll never, ever do another stupid thing.
And then immediately he turns around and walks right into the door of his brand new plow.
To be fair, it hasn't been there yet for a while, so he forgot it was there.
Smack. Yeah, the just great little Homer moment. Well written. Loved every bit of that. Homer is determined to show Marge that this was not a bad move. He drops a little money on a new jacket advertising himself as Mr. Plow, and he gets some flyers to pass around town. He has a little bit of a discouraging moment, however, when he runs into Barney, dressed as a baby, also passing out flyers. And
a baby passing out flowers. Sorry, the image of Barney dressed like that handing out flowers.
I wish he was passing out flowers. He was passing out Goddamn. He was passing out flyers, and nobody seemed to give a damn.
Putting it on the end of gun barrels and whatnot.
Homer is absolutely desperate to get his new business out there, so much so that he volunteers to say the prayer during church, but turns it into an ad for his own company. When the Reverend is like, Homer, that's low, he's like, yes, but not as low as my prices.
Dear Lord, in your infinite wisdom, you know the number to call when you need a plow. It's Klondike 53226. Not as low as the low prices.
Unfortunately, Homer's just not connecting with customers. No one is hiring him to plow their driveway, and he's starting to get a little bit upset. Lisa suggests, why don't you try an ad, a TV ad, on the local TV station? And that's exactly what they do. He gets one for 3:17 a.m., and when Bart asks who watches TV at this hour, Homer actually has a pretty good response. Alcoholics, unemployables, and angry loners.
I just like that before that we saw our second appearance in a row by the Sea Captain.
Yeah, that's right. Lisa was demonstrating what a commercial might look like, and we see the Sea Captain selling his set of 3 CDs. Unless you call now, you'll get a bonus CD, Heart Pipe Fever.
In the Navy.
Oh, that's actually where we get this great dig at the Fox network, because when the commercial comes on television, I think it's Lisa that says, wow, the Simpsons are on TV. Homer says, yeah, it's a lousy network, but we're there.
It may be a lousy channel, but the Simpsons are on TV.
They do, in fact, have an ad. It stars the entire Simpsons family, including Grandpa Simpson as Old Man Winter, just spoiling everybody's day. But don't you worry, because there's a man you can call. It's Mr. Plow.
Call Mr. Plow. That's my name. That name again is Mr. Plow. I like the interaction between Homer and the kids in the commercial, because he asks them, like, are you tired of having heart attacks from shoveling snow and things like that?
Getting your hands cut off from snowblowers?
And it's just the kids going, yeah! And then even at the end, after Homer sings the song, and Bart goes, you are bonded and fully licensed by the city, aren't you, Mr. Plow? And Homer on the side of his mouth goes, shut up, boy. Like in the commercial.
Yeah. Like that, they didn't even bother to cut that. In addition to that great dialogue with the Simpsons kid, there's one more reason you should call Mr. Plow. You get a free t-shirt if you call now. Unfortunately, it's not a company logoed shirt like you might think, but actually an old Stockdale for Veep t-shirt, which Stockdale is actually James Bond Stockdale, which is a dope-ass name. I would have definitely supported that, but he was actually the vice president candidate for Ross Perot back in 92, who was an independent who actually made a very strong running in the 92 election.
It's apparently, according to this thing called the internet, Stockdale famously lost focus during a nationally televised debate, saying like, "Who am I? Why am I here?"
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's even more fascinating.
Which makes the joke funnier, just to put it in context in case you don't know who he is. But again, he was Ross Perot's running mate, so that also says a little bit about him.
The commercial ends with Homer talking about how his prices are so low, it's like he has brain damage, and singing out his jingle one more time.
Call Mr. Plow. That's my name. That name again is Mr. Plow.
After the commercial finishes, Homer is like, alright, now all we have to do is play the waiting game. But after only a few short seconds, he's like, the waiting game sucks. Let's play Hungry Hungry Hippos. The next day, business is booming. He starts by plowing the entire parking lot for the Quickie Mart, just in time for Jailbird Snake to show up and rob the place. We then see him clearing out the Springfield retirement castle, but all of the residents come outside and they're like, yay, we're free. But as soon as they get outdoors, they're like, I'm cold and scared. Let's go back in.
Which I like that they actually will go back to this joke at the end of the episode.
Yeah, I like that too. Teenagers. The other job that Homer gets is actually for the elementary school, which it's a great scene because we see Principal Skinner and Groundskeeper Willie in the halls talking about how they might have to cancel school today. Martin Prince shows up covered from head to toe in winter apparel so that he could make the trek because he didn't want to tarnish that perfect attendance after all. Just then, the Mr. Plow truck comes leading the way for the school bus, and to Bart's and most of the other kids' sadness, because of Homer, they're not going to miss a minute of school. And just then we get a reference to The Godfather in the snowball scene, where it's just like the assassination scene at the toll booth in The Godfather.
Bart gets pelted by snowballs.
I love the way Bart contorts like he's getting shot the entire time. So
yeah,
it's every time he gets
perfect.
hit with a snowball, it's like he's getting shot in an old-time gangster movie like The Godfather.
In true Simpsons form, it flashes images of the movie in your brain.
Big time. Homer has done such a wonderful job for the city. After all, he's allowed its residents to get to and from where they need to be without having to rely on public transportation or even worse, carpooling. Because of this service, he's given the key to the city. And oddly enough, this, of all things, earns him a free beer at Moe's, which almost nothing earns you a free beer at Moe's. Sometimes even having a coupon for a free beer at Moe's will not get you a free beer at Moe's.
We saw in the last episode. I love that with Barney talking. He's like, wow, you didn't even give a free beer to those Iranian hostages.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been here in the first place. This next interaction between Homer and Barney is actually the catalyst for the episode, because Barney starts complaining about life getting him down, and Homer basically gives him a pep talk, a motivational speech, saying he needs to get out there and make the best of things and earn things on his own. And Barney gets up with some gusto, still wearing a diaper, mind you, but proud and loud walks out declaring he's going to make something of himself.
I just want to say, in the previous scene when he was handing out flyers and not flowers, his diaper flew off. And just the fact that he chased it down and got it, I think, speaks to Barney's gusto, because he was wearing it in this scene, which means he did in fact catch that diaper or go buy a new one.
It's one of the two, or possibly a third option, he had more at his home.
Or fourth option, he was wearing newspaper.
I love the interaction too, and Barney does walk out of the bar. Homer and Moe are like, how do you think he'll do? And they're like, he'll be fine. When Homer gets home that night, we see the kinkier side of Marge as she is enamored with Homer, especially when he is wearing that jacket, and let's just say that she was the one that wanted to be plowed.
Her driveway sure got clean that night.
Testing. Can anyone hear me? My name is Toby, and I'm the host of the Secret Transmission Podcast. We are a show that discusses the paranormal, conspiracies, the supernatural, UFOs, cryptozoology, and anything else weird. Our show is transmitted to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube. You can also follow us on Twitter for updates at SecretTransPod. So get ready to put on your tinfoil hats and come learn with us as we try to explain the unexplainable.
The next morning, Homer is up and he is bright-eyed and he is bushy-tailed at 7 a.m. like we've never seen him. He is energetic, he's happy, he's excited, he declares white gold as he opens the window to look at all the freshly fallen snow.
And to be that happy means something disastrous must be around the corner.
It's almost a little bit sad here because it makes you think, wow, if Homer had discovered this passion of plowing snow earlier in life, maybe he wouldn't be so miserable at the power plant. And I do realize he would have to have another job because they don't live somewhere where it snows all the time. But at least half the year, he could be doing a job that he actually enjoys.
No, they just live somewhere where it snows when it's appropriate for the story.
That's actually one of the things they talk about in the director's commentary of this episode. The writer of this one just wanted to do a snow episode because he felt that everybody living in California, people are just starting to forget that it snowed places, and sometimes they need to remind themselves of that. Unfortunately, to Homer's dismay, all of the driveways in his neighborhood have already been plowed. He goes outside to investigate, and just then, a new plow truck drives by. It's even bigger than Mr. Plow's. After all, it's the Plow King, and when the window rolls down, we see it's none other than Barney, the backstabber Gumble.
To be fair, Homer told him to go out there and get it.
Yes, but I think that he meant in his own way, and Barney very much stole Homer's idea. In fact, he took it a step even farther than that, while saying, "Oh, Homer, there's nothing wrong with a little friendly competition." He pulls out a fucking gun and shoots Mr. Plow's rear tires so that he can't even drive his truck that day.
It's a good thing he didn't have snow tires on, right?
Deflect off the chains?
Yeah. You know what? This has inspired me, Miles. I'm going to start my own Simpsons podcast. I'm going to... fuck it, I'm too lazy. I don't care.
That's just what the world needs.
Next episode coming up in 3 to 6 months.
So are you doing your own thing and continuing your co-host duties here? I'm confused.
Well, no, we're supposed to be in direct competition with each other until I get buried under a mountain of snow because you did some nasty trick to trick me into going somewhere and doing something inappropriate.
Alright, well call me Han, because I'm shooting first.
Okay, hun.
Right after this, Barney takes things a couple steps farther. One, he gets country musician Linda Ronstadt to do a little jingle with him for his new company, but he also slanders Homer. He talks trash about the Plow King, implies that he's an alcoholic, which is ironic in a lot of ways, and basically just says how he's not a good choice for your business. He really completely screws over Homer with this new venture.
When the snow starts falling, there's a man you should be calling. That's KL54796. Let it ring. Mr. Plow is a loser, and I think he is a boozer. So you better make that call to the Plow King.
They pointed out in the commentary that Homer probably could have made more money by suing Barney than he could have by plowing driveways, but, that wouldn't have made a very interesting episode.
As often as he's been to Lionel Hutz in the last season, you think
that's probably what they're probably right? Like, dudes, we cannot keep just going to court over and over again. We got to do something else.
And Lionel Hutz is coming fresh off of a win, too.
Even though Homer is upset by this ad, he doesn't like his friend is talking trash. He thinks back on their friendship all the way back when they were in high school, studying for their SATs. It turns out that Barney was actually really smart. It was the night before SATs. He was studying on the bed, and it seemed like things were going quite well. I believe he even said at one point, "Harvard, here I come."
Yeah.
And just then, Homer walks in. His dad's gone for the night, so he grabbed a 6-pack out of the fridge, and he offers Barney one. And reluctantly, just to shut Homer up, he decides he'll have a drink.
I got 2 words for you. Mellow out, man.
And mellow out he did in a very quick transition. Just a sip of beer turned Barney Gumble from the well-spoken, intelligent, and clean-cut young man into a stumbling drunk, and he immediately declares, where have you been all my life?
Which, I want to point something out here. Homer's obviously starting Barney down this path, and Homer's the one that leads Barney to do a lot of things, the way that Bart leads Milhouse almost to go to the extreme. But this shows you that Barney just has an addictive personality.
Yeah, he does.
Like, if that's all it takes, like, it can be on Homer for starting him on that path, but, like, there's some major issues with Barney.
Well, you don't think they drink beer at Harvard?
Exactly, right?
Yeah, it was if that's the way that you react to alcohol, that was just bound to happen, unfortunately.
Right. That's just like Requiem for a Dream, the way he takes that first hit and then...
Yeah, I'm totally able to manage the amount of heroin I keep on me at all times. It's fine. Just little doses, people. Just little doses. Yeah, just don't go crazy with that shit. It's fine.
I love when it flashes back. I love the exchange between Homer and Flanders when it flashes back to the present.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. When Homer goes next door to Flanders' driveway's already been plowed, but Flanders feels so bad because Homer's like, I thought you were one of my customers, and so Flanders is offering him money.
He's just so nice. I'll just go ahead and pay you to do it too, even though it's already been done. I won't play these silly games. I'll take your money, but I'm not plowing your driveway.
Homer's such an ass. But again, it makes you love Flanders even more. I'm telling you, him and Burns, man, like
they get a lot of great lines.
They're so much better than I remember.
And then right after that, we have another lost customer from Homer to the Plow King because Adam West had called Homer out, and Homer was like, Adam, I thought you had a job for me. And Adam West says, I did 45 minutes ago. Then he jumps in the Batmobile and takes off in heroic style, but as we see him drive away, the Batmobile is like falling apart. It's all like run down and in pieces.
Pure West.
So at this point, the only person calling Homer is the collector's agents. There's not any business coming in, and when collections calls, he answered Mr. Plow. Oh, no, you wanted the Mr. Plow that plows snow. I'm Tony Plow. Yes, from Leave It to Beaver. Yes, they were gay. Click.
Oh. I wonder, Michael Price talked to us about how they have random things showing from the TV's perspective where they'll pitch random storylines or whatnot or commercials. I wonder if they do similar things for moments like this where it's just a random phone call but you only hear half of it so like you can kind of get crazy with it. I wonder if they just pitch like ridiculous things like that and they're just saying, say random TV show ideas that never happen kind of thing. Like, it wouldn't surprise me.
Well, apparently there was actually some actors on Leave It to Beaver that were rumored to be gay, and this actually really flirted the line with was it going to get through the censors or not, but because there was nothing on the other end of the phone call, and all Homer said was, yes, they are gay, never actually referencing anyone directly, it was allowed to stay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The more you know.
And I thought it was a really good joke, too, so just the vagueness of it makes it really funny.
Well, and just like you have to pay attention or you'll miss it.
Absolutely. It's actually to that exact point. I watched this episode twice and I missed it the first time through. So you're absolutely right.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what I did, but I think I went to grab a drink or something and it went so quick I didn't hear it.
I may be jumping the gun a little bit here, but sir, have you ever had the overwhelming desire to rap on our podcast?
Well, if it's going to be the only thing that could save the Mr. Plow business, then all I have to say is, I'm Mr. Plow, and I'm here to say I'm the plowingest guy in the USA. I got a big plow, and I'll move a lot of things, like your cow if you have one.
And it's gone.
I love that during that, the kids are like, Dad, stop it. No, stop. Please don't do that. No. They're like protesting the entire time because it's so just awful and cringeworthy.
Homer has a moment, fair listeners out there, where he decides the only thing left to do is to rap to save his Plow, I almost said Plow King, his Mr. Plow business. And he's in the living room in front of Bart and Lisa saying his little rap that MrMostDaysOff just hurt our eardrums with. But
graced you with?
That's the word I meant to say. Yeah, you got it. Grace.
Things have gotten so bad that even the rap's not working, so Homer has to go to an ad campaign, or ad agency, and they assure him...
This might be my favorite scene in the episode, too, by the way.
You know those radio commercials with the two annoying people arguing about something? I invented those!
He said, like, the radio commercials where the two guys just talk back and forth about nothing. I invented those.
And Homer immediately, like, on an instant, just punches him right in the face, and the guy just sits there and is like, yeah, that happens a lot.
But it's the way Homer punches him, because it's one of those, like, all out, just like, boosh! And the way he falls
and then
back,
completely back to normal. Yeah, it goes from, like, 100% punch in the face to just sitting there like it's part of a casual conversation.
That scene has made me laugh ever since I was a child. Something about the way that it looks, the way the sound effects, everything. Even though it's physical violence, I mean, Itchy and Scratchy makes everybody laugh. But I especially because when he talks about it, you know exactly the commercials he's talking about. Hey, I'm somebody talking about something annoying.
I hate how every radio DJ in the world pretends like, or does the ad where it's like, my friends over at the so-and-so car dealership, or my friends over at the so-and-so dentist or doctor's office. Like, bitch,
punch to the face.
Bitch, you ain't friends with those people. Don't even act like that. That's not, you've never once hung out outside of a work-sponsored event.
They just gave you free shit.
Yeah, exactly. You probably don't even go to that dentist.
Still, it's a hilarious scene.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's a great scene. What they produce is questionably maybe an ad for Mr. Plow. In fact, when the TV ad airs, Lisa was like, Dad, is that your TV ad? And Homer goes, I don't know. It was actually referencing those very just artsy black and white perfume commercials.
French commercial movie.
Yeah, it's always the same shit. They still do them to this day. Like, anytime it's for, like, a new perfume or cologne or beauty product, and everything's all noir style, and everything's opera-like and flowy, and they make no sense, and it's not until whatever they're actually selling comes up at the end that you actually know what they're trying to sell you.
Come.
Well, things have hit rock bottom when Homer is asked to hand over his very cherished key to the city and give it to the Plow King, Barney. When he passes it to Mayor Quimby, Quimby asks, are these teeth marks? Homer replies, I thought it was chocolate. When Quimby asks why, he's like, because it was wrapped in foil.
It was never wrapped in foil.
So Homer has nothing better to do, so he's at the house watching TV. Kent Brockman's on TV talking to Arnie Pie in the Sky, who's supposed to be giving us a ski report, but things have turned bad. It's a total whiteout, and Artie thinks he's going to die. In fact, he's telling out to Kent Brockman, tell my wife I love her, and all Kent Brockman can do is be like, Artie, focus, we need those ski reports.
I think I'm enjoying, we talked about it now for going on 4 seasons, where all the side characters really are being fleshed out now. We had it even with Groundskeeper Willie a few episodes ago, getting his final, like,
fighting the wolf. That was awesome.
Like, it's, the side characters are getting in their little niche and getting in their little corners, and they're finally being who they're supposed to be. We even have the sea captain in back-to-back episodes, so it's great to have familiar faces doing familiar things and knowing what to expect, but still having great outcomes and great jokes.
Agreed. I think it's, the longer this is going, at this point, they've done a great job of slowly filling in that web. So I think that helps them too. They didn't try to establish too much too early. They let some of these parts just kind of find their own way, and now that they have gotten on a path, they're kind of locking them into the track.
The monorail track?
The monorail, that's right.
We keep referencing that episode every week right now.
We're so damn excited about shout out to the Wrestle Nerds. It's going to be exciting. We're going to be singing and chatting and joking and laughing all things Phil Hartman and all things monorail very, very soon. But we still got the Plow King to get through, and this is a damn good episode in itself.
Damn.
Since Homer saw there's a blizzard on Widow's Peak, he decided it would be a good idea to call Barney up there to get him out of the way. That way he wouldn't be able to plow the rest of the snow in Springfield. He'd be on a wild goose chase up the mountain.
That'll take me all day.
There's a $10,000 bill in it for you.
Oh yeah? What president's on it?
All the presidents.
They're having a party.
Johnson's passed out on the couch. Barney's actually in the hot tub at this point, and actually in the hot tub with Linda Ronstadt, who decided that she wanted to, for her next album, she wanted to sing the Plow King jingle in Spanish. Barney agrees to the job, so he's out of the way. Homer takes over his old business, and when he's asked, "Where's the Plow King?" he says, I guess he just doesn't respect his customers. Just then, the same lady says, "Okay, please don't scratch my asphalt." And as Homer walks away, he says, "You can kiss my asphalt." Homer's back in the dough. He's counting his money. But that's when he sees on the news, actually caught during the filming of a quote-unquote Bigfoot documentary. Great little gag because they have to cut because you can see Bigfoot's wristwatch. But in the background, we pick up that Barney Gumble is being snowed in due to his burp causing an avalanche.
That's gonna hurt his plow business if he can't even plow himself out of there.
That's not a good look for your plow.
It still sounds sexual to me every time you say it. That's not a good look for your plow.
That's just you, man.
Well, call me the Plow King, baby.
Homer declares that this is his fault and he has to save his friend. Getting ready for his journey, he fills up his canteen with Duff, which is fantastic. Marge is worried, but he reassures her, "Don't worry, this truck is as steady-footed as a mountain goat." And then we see a scene that was very reminiscent of Bart the Daredevil when Homer falls down the ravine. We see a mountain goat take several falls upon rock upon rock upon rock before finally getting to the bottom of the gulch.
Every time it falls down another ledge.
One of my favorite gags in this entire episode, as Homer's going around a bend, the cliff starts to fall out underneath his tires and he starts to slide down the cliff. He tries to calm himself down and he actually uses the radio's analog dial to counter shift the weight enough to get its footing back on the cliff. Absolutely ridiculous visual gag because it's basically all the way like halfway fallen over and just this little tiny dial is actually what fixes it. And according to the commentary track on this episode, that was actually a late edition rewrite by none other than Conan O'Brien.
All right. Wasn't he listed as producer on this one too?
I believe so, yes.
So just in a few episodes that Conan's gotten to take charge of, he's had a good lasting impact.
Yeah, he's making his legacy on The Simpsons.
I like the scene right after this where Homer, it's got like the dramatic music and Homer's crossing this real shitty bridge where like panels on the bridge are falling apart, and when he's getting like halfway across, it pans out and there's like a really awesome normal bridge, like
a brand new, very safe, not at all rickety or dangerous bridge he could have crossed.
Don't.
We get a somewhat depressing moment as Homer's approaching Barney. Barney is starting to come to terms with death. He decides, maybe it won't be so bad. I'll get to reconnect with my loved ones, my dad, and that houseplant I never watered. And just then, Homer pulls around the bend and pulls out his friend, and they reunite and decide...
He plows his friend!
They decide they'll no longer be enemies. From now on, they're partners. And Homer declares when two best friends put their mind to something, not even God himself could stop them.
Unless God himself stops them.
And this is a rare appearance where God himself, not in a dream, very much physically interacts with the world. He actually says, "Oh yeah?" And just then we see rays of
You said "God damn it" when talking about God. I'm sorry, that was just perfect.
We see beams of sunshine melting the snow. There's actually a great little reference to Raiders of the Lost Ark with two of the snowmen that melt are posed just like the two people that get melted essentially whenever they open up the Ark.
And this is, we alluded to this earlier, where we get the flashback to the Springfield retirement castle. We're like,
the snow is gone. We can go outside again. And then Abe says, "I don't trust those sketchy-looking teenagers.
Yeah.
Let's go back inside."
Grandpa's had some real good moments in small doses over the last few weeks.
Yeah, he's starting to come along nicely too. A lot of his one-liners are absolutely fantastic.
I liked him as Old Man Winter, honestly.
I'm tired. I need to go take a nap.
So we get that God hitting the natural reset button for the episode.
Yes, and another great bit by Kent Brockman. He's reporting that this may be the greenhouse effect, but if the 70-degree days are the result of his car pollution, then don't mind him if he just goes ahead and holds on to that Pontiac.
Which is funny since there was a knock on carpooling earlier in the episode, too.
Yeah, they're very much taking the obviously wrong side in the pollution debate. To finish off the reset, or maybe, we'll talk about that in a moment, the Plow does in fact get repossessed. Homer takes a call which is just designed to distract him. "How stupid do you think I am?" as he looks out the window to see his truck being moved. Joe!
Which if that's all that happens, that's not so bad.
Homer is of course down about this, but right after that Marge says, "You've got your health, you've got your best friend back, and there is that one special thing," alluding to the jacket that Marge likes so much. And it actually ends with Homer and Marge getting frisky once again. And I love Homer's lines here. He says, "The weather calls for flurries of passion, followed by extended periods of getting it on." However, I do want to point out, I don't think they completely reset the universe. I think they forgot a little something.
What's that, Miles?
What is Homer driving to work now? What is Marge driving to the store? They never resolved the car issues.
Yeah, that's one of the cars always looks like it has a kind of rolled up dent on the front end of it for the rest of the series, pretty much. I assume that they went to some friendly mechanic. Maybe Barney paid with some Plow King money to get the cars fixed.
Close enough. It was a pretty good reset nonetheless.
I just think that if all in all through all this, it seems like monetarily Homer's not going to be hit too hard with the repossessing of the Plow King, or the Mr. Plow. He gets to keep the jacket, which turns I almost said turns Miles on. Which turns... Does it, Miles? Does it? But he gets to keep the jacket, which turns Marge on. And we see the Mr. Plow jacket multiple times throughout the series, so all in all, not a bad way to end for Homer.
No, it worked out pretty well. I think overall he was in a better place at the end of the episode than he was at the beginning. But still ultimately reset in the same universe, so it's not going to change in the next episode, which is what we get to each and every time we do one of these. That does bring us to the end of Mr. Plow. Richie, was there anything else that you or that book of yours wanted to bring up?
We did not mention the sign at the Springfield Auto Show. Again, this is according to my guidebook, The Simpsons, A Complete Guide to Our Favorite Family. At the Springfield Auto Show, the sign there out front said, "We salute the American worker, now 61% drug-free." And then when Homer needs a new ad for TV, he goes to McMahon and Tate's, the place where we talked about the radio commercials. That's the actual ad firm of Darren Stevens from Bewitched. So
Very cool. I used to watch that show, actually. I didn't catch that.
And besides that, on a personal note, I just want to say I have always remembered this episode very, very fondly. And through our rewatching and reviewing of all these episodes, there's been a lot of times where I remember certain episodes very fondly, and they kind of live up but don't quite live up to how I remember it. But I feel like this one, I like it just as much as I did before we reviewed it, if not even more now. And it's just, this one is one of those episodes that stands the test of time, and it's still absolutely hilarious to this day. And it was so much fun getting to watch this one again after all these years.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. I had high expectations of this episode because I had such fond memories, and this episode absolutely lived up, or possibly, like you said, even surpassed my expectations. This is one of the best. This is the golden age of The Simpsons, and this will be a competitor guaranteed, I would say, for both of our top fives when we get to the end of this season. One last thing I would like to note is this is actually the second episode that Dan Castellaneta won an Emmy for his voiceover work. The first one being season 3's Lisa's Pony, but when I was listening to this episode, especially that last line, the way he delivers that forecast line, where it calls for flurries of passion followed by extended periods of getting it on, like, the way he delivers that line is just so perfect, and so many of his lines in this are very funny, so very well deserved. The second of many Emmys to come. Just thought that was worth noting.
When's he supposed to be on our show?
Maybe one day. Well, that's a pretty tall order, but we can start asking, right? We got him on Twitter, of course. So, but yeah, that's gonna do it for this week's Best Darn Diddly Review Show. Richie, where can they find you online?
You guys can follow me on Twitter. I'm at theWiz_Kid23. Also, when you're on Twitter, go ahead and give our show a follow. That's at Best Darn Diddly. That's DIDDLY.
Don't forget that works on Instagram too.
Also, go over to YouTube and subscribe to Camp Crystal Crew. Miles mentioned it earlier. It's a new channel we're starting with short little skits. They're hilarious. Tell us what you love about them. Tell us what you don't. I know Miles loves it. I love it too.
Absolutely. And shout out to Secret Transmission Podcast as well as the Wrestle Nerds who have been helping us out so far. We're going to be collaborating with a lot of other people to make some more of those in the future. As for me...
Shit yeah!
Shit yeah, indeed. As for me, I'm at MrMostDaysOff. That works on Twitter and Instagram. Also, go and check out my other podcast for you wrestling fans. That's Lucha of the Hidden Temple. That's every week on Voices of Wrestling, recapping Lucha Underground. Other than that, the WizKid and I look forward to being back with you next week when we review Lisa's First Word.
But until then, you can all kiss my asphalt.
And until next time, be cromulent to each other.